yeah, go spit facts.
What's up, everyone? Enoch here, back again with another episode of Get to Know. And right now I'm talking to the members of the FoundNation family. Man, I'm just a huge fan of these guys. We got, just introduced, we got C26, John Levi, Nico, Fonzie's coming by, and also, who am I missing?
Val Morale.
Val Morale's coming later. It's funny because I know Val personally. I forgot his name. But I just wanted to come on and chat with you guys, talk about everything that is Catholic hip hop, the history of it, present, and maybe what the future might be. And if you guys want to take just a quick minute and just introduce yourself and kind of in a way of your story. We'll start with you, Nico.
No, I appreciate you having us, Enoch, and definitely a pleasure. I feel personally humbled that we're on here, man, because you're rocking it for the Catholic hip hop world right now, and I think I'd be the first to say, if not the last, definitely not the last. I mean that you're doing your thing, man. So I appreciate you carrying the torch. All that said, man, yeah, my name is Nico. Let's see, father of three, husband. First and foremost, I would say, Catholic for sure. And I've been a part of FoundNation since like 2010 is when we first formed. So it's been over 10 years of purgatory. No, I'm just kidding. But no, these guys are great, man. They're family, like I said. And man, we've all seen each other grow. I was in college at the time, and like I said, now I'm married and have kids. So we've gone through life together. So it's more than just ministry, more than music. It's really a brotherhood. It's an opportunity to share in each other's pains, crosses, struggles. And out of that is really where the music comes from, in my personal opinion. So again, happy to be here, man.
Amazing. Thanks, Nico. Yeah. C2, what you got for us?
Yes, sir. Hey, again, like Nico, just to echo what he said, man, thank you for having us. I've told you now in a couple of different discussions, man, that I'm older than you, but you're my OG in the rap game, man. Because when I came into the rap music scene, you were already doing it, man, and you were one of the guys. I hate to say it, but sometimes prior to me doing the Catholic Christian hip hop and meeting a lot of guys, I thought a lot of guys kind of sounded a little bit corny or a little bit gimmicky, right? And when I heard you guys, I was like, yeah, this is solid stuff that I can rock with. This is good. And so, shout out to you for that, man. So you were definitely an inspiration for me, game, right? And
Lord of God, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. And so, like Nico said, man, we met back in 2010, 2022 now. That's 10 years. No, I'm sorry, 12 years. John and Val came on board in about 2012. What's funny is I just saw today on my Facebook memories that 10 years ago today we filmed the So Hood video.
Hey,
so that was our second music video. Yeah, 10 years ago today we filmed that. So that was the first classic. But other than that, I come from the world of doing secular rap, gangster rap music prior to doing the whole Christian Catholic rap. And I didn't know where it was going to take me, but God's been good and God has opened many, many, many doors. And now I'm at this stage and the age where I feel like I want to kind of open the doors for artists that are coming behind me and create opportunities for our artists that are coming behind me. So
it's an excellent
that's what
ambition.
I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, C2. John, what you got for us, brother?
Yeah. So, man, these guys, they were jamming before they decided to open the doors to me. That was crazy, but it's just one of those things, man. I think every American just hip hop fan who becomes a devout person to their faith, by the time they're in their mid-20s or even younger, early 20s, they do this random Google search for Catholic hip hop. And all kinds of stuff pops up, and you have to figure out, all right, is this legit? Because I remember first doing that search maybe early 20s when I just came back into my Catholic faith. And I was like, man, I just can't listen to the stuff I used to listen to anymore. because I feel like I'm catching sins for all this stuff and got to go to confession. So I'm like, there's got to be something else. And Catholic hip hop, of course, you find out about Fat Mass. Shout out to the Fat Mass. Much love to those guys. They really held it down with that forum and connecting people for a good minute of time. And then, of course, at some point, I think I stopped doing those searches because it still wasn't at where, at the level of kind of the quality that I would listen to. It was good. It was bars that were doing things. It's just that I'm from the South, man. You got to catch my ear a certain way for me to be like, ooh. And I think I checked on it again in like 2 or 3 years later. And I saw there was more diversity, and I saw FoundNation, and I was like, oh, what is this? And I remember, Nico had a song out there, Holy Ghost, the Soul Hood, that was jamming. I think, I had about maybe only 2 kids back then, and we're just in the living room like, hey, and we're like, what just happened? And at some point, I guess Fonzie or C2 reached out. Yeah, see, It was weird. I had reached out trying to look for beats, and then I was looking for beats, but then C2 found me, and he's like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Bro, you Catholic too? You black and Catholic?" I'm like, "Bro, chill."
He's not joking either. He's not, I really did say that. So black and Catholic? I was like, whoa, yes. I've always kind of felt like that. Like you can't have hip hop without having an authentic African American presence, man. It's like going to a taqueria with no right? Yeah,
right. Yeah, that community built the culture. They did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It came from that culture. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's wild how God just used African American folks, man. But that's the thing, though. It has to be reclaimed and recaptured for good, man, because it can do so much. If you can get people moving, just jamming, you can do so much. And it is truly the celebration of heaven, man. And we can have that right here. And I remember I had a dream, and in the dream, man, I was sitting at this big old conference table. It was just so weird to this day. And there's TVs at the conference table, and it was FoundNation on the TVs. Bro, and I was like, y'all got to keep doing this. I remember like something like that. And like a week or two later, like one of them said, hey, you want to join the group? And I was like, done.
Oh, man. It's like Saint Joseph in the Old Testament came to the dream. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Dream. I'll never forget it, man. And I was just like, what the heck was that?
You guys, people don't know when we're watching this, or going to be watching this. Please look up FoundNation on YouTube or on Spotify. Man, these guys every record they put out is just absolute bangers. Elijah, I see you joined us here, and appreciate you coming by. Val, we're just pretty much just talking quickly about, just give your just a quick testimony of just introduce yourself and what brought you to the Catholic rap.
Hey, what up, man? My name is Val, and I was rapping since I was like 15, 16. But then when I was 24, 25, I started to kind of take my faith serious. So then I just started noticing my lyrics starting to change. And then I didn't really want to even call it Catholic rap, but somebody in the church that I was attending said, oh, so you're doing Catholic rap now? And it kind of didn't register. I was like, I guess. But in my head, it was never that. But then I put up a few songs on YouTube, and then I put Catholic rap. And I remember searching up Catholic rap. I wonder if anybody's even doing that or calling it that. And then, because I know Cat's been doing that for a long time, but they just never called it that, right? And then I searched it up, and I see this bald-headed dude, C26. I peeped the song out, and honestly, I'm not even going to lie, man. I wasn't really that impressed with the song. Like, the quality wasn't really good, but the rapping was dope. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I guess I'm just going to put it up as Catholic rap. And then I did. And then go and behold, like a few days later, like homie hits me up like, hey, you're Val Morale. Like he hits me up on YouTube, and he gets my phone number. Then he hits me up, and we just start like chatting. We just start talking. It's just history from there, man.
Wow. So my question for you guys, Positive Tito is the Suge Knight of the group, right? What is his role in really putting FoundNation together?
I wouldn't necessarily say he had a role in putting us together.
Okay.
We formed the group before Father even got involved.
Okay.
And so we were about 3/4 of the way through with the first album, the FoundNation Universal album, when Father had kind of offered to kind of put a little bit of his time and his money and his resources behind it to help us get some of the distribution out there and press some of the units and stuff like that. And so we've had a working relationship, but it's two separate entities, so to say, right? I don't know if that makes sense. But
right. Okay.
so
Yeah.
It's always people have kind of tended to kind of group us together as if we were one group, but it's kind of been more like two entities that have just traditionally worked close together. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. So it seems to me that C2, you were the Dre, you were the recruit.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, don't let him say I don't know. He's probably actively recruiting to replace us right now.
It's like the Temptations. By the time they were done, there was like one guy and 4 different other guys, right?
Well, Nico is one of the founding members too. So
right.
Yeah. No. Originally, we were so kind of going back to what John said about Fat Mass. So we all kind of linked up, and Fat Mass was really kind of the grounds by which we were able to kind of really connect and have that fellowship even grow and see that this Catholic hip hop thing was already established, and we had a potential to reach an already kind of existing market, and at the same time do what we wanted to do, which was go back to where we came from and with a different message, if you will. And so, my intention originally was to team up with Fat Mass, create a solo project. So I pitched that to Dust, because I had already known. Let me just give you a little bit of a background on me. Like, before I had met Carlos C2, I was a part of this group called Focus, Fellowship of Catholic University Students at my university. That's really how I got tapped into my faith again. I born Catholic, very Catholic country, Colombia. So coming to the United States was a culture shock. But lo and behold, like years later, when I'm in college and I'm like kind of living this crazy lifestyle, I really get pulled back into my faith through this group. And one of the missionaries there was a former Catholic artist, Catholic rapper. He no longer does it, and he was part of Fat Mass, and so that's how I got introduced to that. So I originally wanted to put out an album with Fat Mass, and then around that time is when C26 reached out, and he's like, and then Lay was part of the kind of the group there as well, and so we're like, yo, why don't we do a group album, the 3 of us? We did a single called Christ is Alive, which kind of jump started everything, and then we got in touch with Fonzie, and then all of a sudden we're like, yo, let's just do a project together. And that was really kind of like the birth of this craziness, really.
Right. And what's funny is we didn't even have a name for the group until we were actually in our recording session, and Dust from Fat Mass was the one that suggested the name FoundNation, and so we kind of ran with that. We're like, that's actually kind of cool.
FoundNation. Okay, so I was going to ask who came up with that. So for those who don't know, Fonzie is the producer of the group. Right, he's the one who comes up with the beats.
Yeah. Fonzie's really the Dre in a sense, right? Because he's the beat maker, producer.
Scott Storch of the group. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now let me. I want to ask you this. So again, I was talking about this kind of off screen, but as a fan, which my brother Elijah and I are big fans of you guys. We talk about you guys a lot. As a fan. What I like about you guys is your authenticity. But the fact, so the dynamic of before I came back and did Tradiciones this past year, we hadn't done Catholic rap. Elijah, what, 10 years, right, since we were doing it? But we had a studio in the downstairs of our house, and so we came up with an album called Spirit versus Flesh, and we were never in the studio together. We just didn't work. We had different talents, so I'd find the beat, I'd come up with the hook, and then lay it down, and my brother would come out after me. He would come in, listen to it, put his verse down, kind of have the visual direction of the song, say, okay, this is where we should go with it, and I would come back, lay my verse, and we would never be in there together. We would just kind of listen to it. But you guys, now that was tough with 2 people. You guys is about, what, 5 or 6 of you guys are in the studio together. What's that dynamic like? Like, you know, where's that vision, and who gets to pick and choose?
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. I would imagine, yeah. But you guys make it work because your records are just flawless, in my opinion. But what's that like? So, for example, you know, who thinks of the hooks? I know the beats are made by Fonzie, but who's like, okay, this is the name of the song, this is the hook, here's where the verses should go. Is it all of you, or is it one person? John, what do you got?
We just kind of like we just bounce a lot of stuff off of each other, right? Like, and if we've had prior ideas and stuff, you know, you got to use the cloud first off, right? You got to use some kind of cloud sharing, and it's like beats in that folder, concepts in that folder, halfway developed songs in that folder. Everybody pick 2 of each, and we ride it. And it's like, and then, you know, and I'll be honest, sometimes the times we've gotten together to record, I'm like, dang, y'all, I don't have jack written for this song. But then, and I'll be as frank and as blunt as I can. Holy Spirit comes through every time. It's ridiculous. And stuff just starts sounding like that can work. We like that's, and so we know we can only take so much credit for it, but it's wild, man. I just wish that was like a constant burn that happened without any interruptions. You know what I mean? But naturally, we've got families and all that other stuff. But sometimes when we're together and it hits, it's like, oh man, it's happening again. Next thing you know, you got a nice cohesive collection of songs, and it's just I don't even know how it happens, to be honest with you.
The way it usually happens, at least from my recollection, is that we each get to pick 2 beats out of all the beats that Fonzie sends, and then 2 or 3 beats, right? And then we pick the concept. And then we do our verse, and then we send that, and we can name it, right? So we title it concept, our verse, and then we send it over, and then everybody else does their part to it.
Wow.
And for example, with Stomping on the Devil, I remember I chose that particular beat, and then I remember I was just listening to it in my car, and I was chatting with these guys through a message thread, and then like the lyrics just come to my mind because around that time I was battling a lot with certain things, and I felt like I was like just fed up with Satan. And I was like, I want to stomp on the devil, and that's the first thing that like came up to my mind. And so then I just started spitting it just raw on the phone, and I sent that recording over to the message group, and they were kind of like feeling it. And then we get to the studio a few weeks or whatever after, and then we just run with it. So that's kind of how it works a little bit. The flow.
And it's crazy because like sometimes as a group, we kind of vibe off of each other, especially in the studio. You know, just that vibe that's there, that energy that's there. We kind of bounce energies off each other, right? And sometimes somebody else might bring to fruition an idea that somebody else had. So like a perfect example, Empty Pew. I had that idea in my mind for a long time, and John and I
love that song. Love that song.
A long time. I just couldn't, for whatever reason, I just couldn't come up with that song. It's like I had the concept, but I couldn't come up with it in my mind, like and then John heard one of the beats that Fonzie had sent over, and it's funny because I had totally like skipped over that beat, hadn't even, you know, and it's not even that I didn't like the beat. I think maybe I just missed it or something.
Right.
And then John sent over a message. He's like, "Hey, dude, I got an idea for the Empty Pew song. What do you think about this?" And he like recorded himself saying the hook on a voice messenger. And they just sent it over. I was like, that's it, dude. That's
a soulful track.
Yeah. That's fire right there. And then he brought that idea to fruition, man. It was
but it was just me on the hook though. Because remember, like you said, you told me that idea like 2 years ago. I remember because I was eating lunch at work and you just talking to me, bro. You're like, dog, how about this concept? I'm just like, yeah, man, I gotta go. But then you brought it up again and again, and then Fonzie had the beats go through, and I went through, and I was like, ooh, silky. And I was like, Empty Pew for you. I'm like, ooh, this like the thing that Carlos, and then just record the voice message. Everyone's like, run it. Yeah. Cool. And same with Val Stomping on the Devil. It was like, once we saw where he was at with it, the beat was there. It's like, run it. Just do it. That's one.
Right. Yeah. Help me run me through the concept of I Wonder. That's one of my favorite tracks you guys have done. Especially you, Val, the way you come in your cadence. swallow my pride so I don't choke. I mean, just that cadence of just writing that I wonder. It's just an incredible. And talk to me about that one, because it's a soulful song. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but that's Fonzie on the hook, right?
Yeah, that's Fonzie on the hook.
Now, was that something that he just set you guys? Here's the hook, put your verses to it, or is that everyone's collaboration?
From my understanding of it, that was one of the songs that Fonzie was working on for like his solo stuff. But it was during like the time where we were trying to work on an album, and I remember I had picked one of my beats. Everyone was supposed to pick 2 or 3, and I had picked one, but I was looking for that one more. And then Fonzie was playing that, hey Fonzini, and then Fonzie was playing that. He was playing that track, and I heard it, and I think it had the hook on it already. Hey Fonzie, that I Wonder track. Do you remember how it came about? Because you had planned it out as your solo stuff, right?
Yeah, we were in that hotel.
Yeah, and then he played it. As soon as I heard it, I was like, hey, bro, can I choose this as one of my beats? I want this to be the concept. And he was like, yeah, let's do it.
I love that song.
That's on him. That's Fonzie.
And the music video. You guys have epic music videos. That's one thing I recommend people listen to your music videos. Now, S Mind. So previously known as Thotty.
Thotty.
Thanks for coming on. Just really quickly, just want to let everyone know who you are and how you got to know the group.
Yeah, how I got sucked into the group was
sucked into the group.
No, yeah. So I started producing around 2005, and so initially I had reached out to Dust, Fat Mass, and all that, and was trying to, dip my toes into the water and all that. And this was about after 5 years, so it was like around 2009, 2010. And then just one day, it was just like, I wonder if Catholic hip hop exists. And so I literally Googled it.
I love it.
I literally Googled it, and there was a thread on Fat Mass, the Fat Mass forum, that showcased Carlos, C26, Nico, aka Diverse at the time, and a former member of FoundNation by the name of Lay. And so as soon as I heard their music, this is what I'm looking for, that quality, top notch, like literally this could go, mano a mano with mainstream. And so I messaged them each on YouTube when you were able to, instant message on YouTube at the time.
Right.
And so I hit them up. I was like, hey, let's collab. The first one to hit me up was Carlos, and then it was all downhill from there. And so, just kidding. And so out the bat, Carlos was like, yo, you got any beats? I sent him one track, and this ended up being one of his solo tracks called "Cross My Heart," and it was from there. It was just like this. It just felt like it just providential, everything that was it just connected, sounded really well. It was just like, this is what I was looking for, right? So then we decided, hey, let's meet up. Nico and I were single at the time. So, we had all the time in the world, more or less. And so I drove up from California. Nico flew in. And
where'd you guys meet? What state?
In Texas.
Texas, okay.
Yeah, we met there in DF Dub. And so yeah, that was a very memorable weekend. Recorded I can't remember how many tracks, over a dozen tracks that weekend. And yeah, it was just history from there, you know. And then 2 years later, we met John and Val, had them join the group, and it's just been like family ever since.
Yeah, because you guys are the Catholic Wu-Tang in a way, in a sense.
Catholic
So
Wu-Tang.
I want to I want to touch on this. My Elijah's a good. Here's a good question for you guys. Who's a better rapper, Nico Santana or Diverse?
I have no idea.
I had a question. So you were talking about production and how the production was just, you know, can be in par with the secular world. Now I think that's really important. Do you think that a Catholic artist has the obligation to give the highest production possible and not just rely the fact that, oh, I'm rapping about Jesus, you're a follower of Jesus, then you're obligated to listen to me even though it's mediocre? Because I think that's how sometimes people see it. It's like, well, you know, you should listen to Catholic hip hop rather than secular hip hop. But what I love about you guys is you bring the production part of it and say, you don't have to compromise. We're not giving you C grade music here. We're giving you A grade music, but it's Catholic. Do you guys see that as being important as a Catholic artist to present to your audience? C2, what do you think?
Oh, definitely. That's kind of why we adopted kind of that slogan we have, the authentic Catholic hip hop, right? The point we're trying to make by using that slogan right there is that this is authentic hip hop. This is real hip hop. It's not, you know, I always tell people, sometimes people think that we have the, like this, somehow like we're using hip hop as a ploy to lure the unsuspecting youth into the faith. It's like, no, that's not how it is. We're all hip hop artists who have decided to dedicate our time and our talent and our treasure to glorifying God through our music and through our art. But we're true to the art as well as being true to the faith, right? Being orthodox with our Catholicism, right? So it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer, right? God gives us talents for a reason, right? If He wanted us to not have artistic talent, He wouldn't give it to us, right? And so there's sometimes, when people frown upon like using your artistic talent through hip hop, I'm kind of like, well, why else do you suspect God gave it to us? You know, it's His gift to us. How dare we not use it? You know, to glorify His name. You feel me? So
I think we all had like a real close relationship to hip hop. Like we're all just like super in love with hip hop. I know I fell in love with the culture, with the music, with everything since I was 13 years old. So just like spending countless hours studying rhymes, practicing rhymes, copying rhymes, writing rhymes, rhyme patterns, syllables, and all this stuff. Just like studying the game. So I was in love with it before I even really got to fall in love with my faith. It might be sad, but it's true. You know, like I fell in love with hip hop before I really got to know my faith, and then after I got to know my faith, I'm like, hey, it only makes sense. It's gonna bleed into the music, and it did. And I feel like that's as authentic as it's gonna get.
That's really important to say. So let's transition to that. That's a good transition. Give me did all of you grow up listening to the golden era of hip hop, the 90s? Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
80s, 90s, early 2000s, yeah.
2000s, yeah.
2000. Okay, so
Yeah, Carlos has a decade on us, so
Yeah.
So let me let's start with
Straight
you,
up.
Nico. I want to start with you. I'm gonna make it a little bit harder. So you know, everybody can give me their top 5 greatest rappers of all time, their list. Give me your top 5 greatest lyricists of all time.
Oh man, this is tough because
It's a little tougher. Yeah, it's a little thing I think about a little bit more.
well, part of it is because, you know, like Val said, we grew up with with a love of secular hip hop so much that
Right.
I would pull from that list, but I don't also want to glorify the material that the guys that I'm talking about, you know,
Sure.
kind of glorify. From a purely like lyrical standpoint, I don't know that I could pinpoint to like 5. I would say off the top without like any like chronology there, or at least any sort of like level of importance. I would say Papoose, Fabulous, Eminem. I'm trying to think. Man, you put me on the spot right here. I really liked it's the Talib, Kweli, Mos Def, Common. I wouldn't put them in the top 5, but just kind of that genre of hip hop. And man, by far, I think one of the most underrated lyricists from a commercial standpoint in terms of music making was Lupe Fiasco. Like I loved the way he wrote, just the intricacies of his bars and all that stuff. I really loved that type of hip hop growing up. So
Got
those would be my
it.
top 5. Yeah.
John, who you got? That's a good list, Nico.
No, Mick said it, man. It's rough. It's rough because in your head you start making the debates about so you push some people out of the 5, pull some people in. Then you're thinking of current versus former, the different, there's just hard to compare. I don't know. So for instance, like anyone who knows, I mean, I will always put Pocket in the top 5 no matter what.
Sure.
Just the man was just in another world. Like he was, and he was in touch with all of it. And I don't know. We just, obviously we lost him too early, like a lot of hip hop artists. But so Pac will always be in the top 5 no matter what. Arguably my number 1 still. But when we start talking about lyricists and things like that, I cannot. Watching what Nas is doing right now, when I was listening to him when I was younger and seeing him like beast out now, is like it's starting to make me remember that okay, there was a reason why other hip hop artists back then, even Jay-Z and them, were like, oh snap, this kid's coming. Nas is just it's what it is, man. He's what he is. Obviously, Eminem did his thing, man. He fought through, he kicked the door down, and he made sure that we paid attention to his artistic talent, his lyricism. Like I said, then there's probably, if I had to fill out the last 2, it's tough, man. I can pull people in and out of that 5.
it's a tough conversation.
Yeah, argue with myself all day long, like Nico said. And then you had the conscious rappers where it was like, okay, cool. These dudes are nice with words. They're not freaking like selling their soul. But they just weren't as flashy when we were younger, so we just didn't pay attention to them as much. But as we got older, we started to appreciate them more. So there's a number of those guys, and I'll leave it at that, man. It's a hard discussion, man.
Okay, it is. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you named Nas, man. He's like my top 3 greatest rappers ever. Just rappers. I mean, just as art. I mean, Illmatic's still one of the greatest albums ever put out. It was his first one out. And then I always say, other than Rakim, Nas is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Val, you got a list?
Yeah, man. I mean, Nas is he's always been like one of my number 1s. So it's Nas, Kiss, Jadakiss has always been smooth to me.
He's a great artist, lyricist.
Yeah. Lupe, I always enjoyed Lupe. I'm gonna go a little newer now. Kendrick. I feel like Kendrick is phenomenal. With as far as lyricism, not supporting the content all the time, but Kendrick is a phenomenal lyricist to me. And then
that's pretty good, yeah.
And then I don't know. I forget names, man. I'm so bad with names now. I'm getting old. But J. Cole, I like J. Cole, man. So I'm gonna go with those. A little old school cats, and then some newer cats.
Yeah, I think those 2 are the best ones right now, lyricist wise. J. Cole and K. Dot. Yeah, and J. Cole is such a Nas influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can hear it too, and that soulful. S-Mind, you got a top 5 lyricist? Because all of you, the reason I ask, all of you are phenomenal lyricists, and that's rare in Catholic hip hop. They put the lyricists first, so this is why, like, I'm trying to figure out like where the mind's coming from. So now I know why you guys are phenomenal, because the people that you grew up listening to were great lyricists.
Yeah, a lot of my inspiration growing up was from listening to, like Nico said, Fabulous. I think Fabulous is sometimes overlooked as a lyricist, Ludacris.
Luda.
Yeah, Luda. And then Jadakiss. I used to listen to him a lot. And then you got other rappers like Eminem for sure, Tupac with the energy, with the passion, um and then you have Biggie with the rhyme play, with the word play, just the different cadences that he could pull off. And then I used to listen like PD Pablo had a few good songs.
Nice.
Twista.
Oh, yeah,
I was into a lot of the faster rappers at one point, so yeah,
Mystical?
Twista was there.
Remember Mystical?
Yeah, I remember Mystical. I wasn't a big fan of him, just because of his voice and the way that I kind of have an OCD when it comes to like hitting, the tempo and all that, and like he was unorthodox with that. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like, it worked for him because his voice was unique. You know what I mean? And that's one of the biggest differences between the new school and the old school. The old school, you always had to be your own. You create your own lane, your own sound. And now, with a lot of the new age hip hop, it's like you're just trying to sound like everybody else. You can't even tell who's who anymore, with the exception of J. Cole. I mean, J. Cole, he'll jump on something trap and he'll spit that mumble rap flow, but you can tell it's J. Cole.
Right.
You could tell, it's Kendrick Lamar. You can tell it's
they're unique.
That they're unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so so a lot of my inspiration came from them. 50 Cent. I'm trying to remember others. There's a few others, but a lot of them came from that.
I saw what Dust just posted down there, but what he's got to understand is that some of those guys didn't have the push, they didn't have the deals, the labels, so we didn't even know about. I didn't know about like Doom like that. I kind of heard of him here.
Oh yeah,
MF
guy
Doom,
dies, and it's like
MF
this
Doom.
dude's amazing. You know what I mean? But those records weren't selling back then. Like,
did you guys ever hear? I used to be a big fan of dudes that like nobody ever knew, like R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah,
the Rugged Man, Jedi Mind Tricks, Vinny Paz,
Jedi Mind Tricks,
yeah, Vinny Paz, Immortal
Chino
Technique.
XL.
Chino XL.
Oh, Immortal Technique for sure.
Razzcast,
yeah, Razzcast is dope, bro.
Yeah,
there's a dude in Texas. He's still around, still doing the thing. He was part of the whole Dope House Records movement, right? With SPM and Baby Bash and all those dudes. This dude named Coast. That dude was a phenomenal lyricist, man. And and he still goes hard, man, to this day. And actually, from what I've heard here recently, is that he's starting to kind of have at least consider transitioning to doing Christian rap. So keep that dude in your prayers. Yeah, for sure.
C2, you got a 5? Or you
man.
Some of them.
See, when people ask me these questions, man, I gotta be like, how much time do you got, bro? Because I gotta break it down, man. Because I look at it. It depends on how you define a lyricist, right? Because sometimes people define lyricist as like somebody who's got mad wordplay and mad, multi-syllables and mad rhyme schemes. Sometimes the way I personally define a lyricist is just how your lyrics resonate with your listener, right? That's to me what a lyricist is.
There you go.
There's just all different kinds of ways.
That's why you said Tupac. I get it.
That was why I personally said Tupac. Yeah,
that's why I was gonna say Scarface too. Scarface, man. Scarface, you can't leave Scarface, bro. You can't leave out, Pac. You can't leave out Scarface. I saw Dust say about Andre 3000. Andre 3000, dude, is a crazy lyricist, man. Andre, he just paints a picture, or he makes you laugh. Whatever it is he wants you to do, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? If you're listening to his song and he wants you to cry, you're gonna cry. If he wants you to laugh, you're gonna laugh. If he wants you to get angry, you're gonna get angry. So it's like, dude, Andre 3000 is phenomenal. Who else is up there for me? As far as lyricists go,
that's because to the what do you say? To the end of the
ALT,
I live by the beat. Let's go.
Yeah,
he's extremely diverse. He can do almost any style. He's incredible in that.
Yeah. You got Big Pun, dude. You got Big Pun.
He's on my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, one of my personal all-time favorite rappers.
No Bow Wow.
Lil Romeo.
one of my personal all-time favorite
Lil
rappers
Rodeo.
is Be Real from Cypress Hill, man. Be Real from Cypress Hill. Like I
Yeah.
think he gets slept on as a lyricist a lot, man. But man, if you ever listen to his outside of his gimmicky kind of like smoking songs, dude can spit, man. And dude's got mad wordplay. And who else, man? I was thinking of somebody else. It was right
Yeah,
at the tip of
Dust
my
said
tongue.
Manchild. Manchild also underground, underground
Yeah.
icon,
not
man,
to cut
for
you off,
sure.
C2, but that's the whole problem. Is that sometimes we weren't exposed to a lot of these people,
Right.
or they're more locally, or they're in a certain genre, or because even looking at what's this guy, man? I just did a song with him, Paradox, bro. Paradox is one of the
Oh,
best
He's
Paradox.
wordsmiths in the
Vegan.
world, dude.
He's
Yeah,
insane.
But who's gonna believe me
Vegan.
when I go say Paradox is the
Right.
I remember who I was
he
gonna
doesn't
say.
sell records,
I remember who I was gonna say. Lauren Hill, man.
Lauren Hill, for sure.
Lauren Hill. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, dude.
No doubt.
Listen
Yeah.
to her on that Fugees album, The Score.
Best female rapper ever.
Yeah.
I agree with you right there.
My opinion.
The other one I was gonna say that I think now in his older age, maybe not in his prime anymore, he's getting a little bit more flowers. But back then he wasn't getting it. It's Black Thought, man, from the Roots.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
Like that, yeah.
I mean, Black Thought's
Yeah.
crazy,
true.
dude. Method Man, bro. Ice Cube.
All the
You
Wu
know what I
Tang,
mean?
all the Wu Tang.
Yeah, man.
Wu-Tang
So
is good. Yeah. My top 5 are going to be Big Pun is one of them.
Oh,
Redman is a crazy lyricist. Cannabis is in my top 5 for sure.
yeah.
Eminem, of course, and then Big L is going to be
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I was wondering if someone was gonna
yeah.
say it.
Big
A lot
L.
of their
Harlem,
lives were just
Harlem, stand up.
it's
Hey,
the
don't
longevity factor.
don't
A lot of
forget
these
Bun
lives
B.
were just they ended too early. We're like,
You're right. Yeah,
you know, because that could have
yeah.
easily have happened to Nas, and no one would. They'd say, "Who's Nas?" You know what I mean?
That's
But
so true.
if
Yeah.
Big L was still alive, what?
You can't leave out Bun B, guys. Bun B,
Vita.
woo, that dude right there puts his bars together like no other, man.
Right.
Dude.
That's
I think-
mine. Go ahead. Fal, go ahead.
I think everyone's kind of biased when they say that too, because when you ask me, I know there's a grip. There's like so many lyricists that are dope, like fire.
Right.
But when you ask me, it's like who really inspired me to spit. Like, so those are the names that I'm gonna spit out. But yeah, man, all those names are fire, bro.
Sure.
So many.
You're right. It is a subjective. Because like C2 said, who what is lyricist really? Because it's such a broad subject, and that's
what's the measurement? You know what I mean?
Right,
What's the
yeah.
criteria? It's got to be.
Yeah.
We do album sales. You can do all that stuff all day, and
right.
you're gonna move people in and out of that 5. So
Yeah.
That's what people ask me. When people ask me who's the greatest rapper ever, my response is always what category?
yeah, how much time you got? Yeah,
Yeah, what category are we talking about? Are we talking about sales? I mean, obviously it's going to be Drake or Jay, or lyricists, So, but S Mine, I want to ask you this: since you're the producer, is there a producer that you really that segment producer that inspires you that you've gone back to? Just
no doubt, man. Yeah. I mean, as far as I can remember, it's always been Manny Fresh.
Okay.
Obviously, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is one of the main ones you can hear. Ninth Wonder.
J Dilla.
Jay Dilla, Primo, Pete Rock. Man, there's a lot of them, man. Alchemist. And then you kind of go into the new school, semi-new school, J. Cole. A lot of people don't know he's a producer. And then man, I mean, I haven't compiled an entire top 5, but I know for sure off the top of my head, Dr. Dre, Manny Fresh, and Ninth Wonder.
Man, you can't forget about the Dungeon family, man.
The who?
The Dungeon family.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh man, no, those are great. I know Scott Storch is one of them, according to some people. RZA, they're up there. But
let me ask you guys something too, because talking about the top 5 and all this stuff, and so we saw, and we talk about lyricists, we talk about the top 5, and then we talk about lyricists. And there's something that I didn't pay attention to until recently. So a lot of lyricists and people we've named they were in our top 5s because of something extraordinary or unique that they did that just no one else was doing. Some people didn't pay attention to white rappers before Eminem. There were white rappers before Eminem, long before Eminem,
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that. So now, with Takeoff from Migos recently passing away, someone mentioned, and I guess Quavo's uncle's like, hey, and he came up with that triplet flow, and right away my mind went, huh? And I'm like, that he might.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Hold on, let me trace it. Did he? Whether or not he came up with it, how influential was he in making it popular? If one of the leaders of the Migos is saying, because they're the ones who got the push ultimately, that made everybody cookie cut for the next like 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So it's like, do you give that person credit? That's my question. You see what I mean? Like
the trendsetter. You're talking about the pioneer.
Drake was the same way.
To just a trendsetter alone to say, oh, my top 5, because he's the first one that said Hannah Montana. Like, what? Sold 2 billion records.
Right. A lot of these new rappers have that same sound. It's all that. It's that. I guess people call it that mumble rap. Now you guys have a unique style because I don't know if there's any genre or any style of music or any even if we look back in the old school rap, early 2000s and even today that you guys can't do, because I've seen you guys do pretty much almost everything. Like that new, I don't know if it's a new song or not, but the dub.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dub to me sounds like you could just play it on any radio station right now that's playing any of these new rappers right now, and it'll just sound just as good, if not better. So, but I want to shift over a little bit here because what a lot of people don't know is you guys performed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you performed at World Youth Day, correct?
Two different World Youth Days, yeah.
But 500,000 audience, right?
About a little over 600,000.
It's incredible. Talk to me about that experience. Who can jump in?
Who wants to take this one?
Go for it, Nico.
I wasn't there, so I can't speak.
Yeah, no, it was it was what I was telling you, Enoch. I would love to kind of be the first to take credit for things and whatnot and so forth, but at the end of the day, man, God's grace for sure. It was a humbling experience. It was in a personal period of my life where I felt like I was just struggling with tenets and the principles of the faith. But even then, like, it was God's embrace to like put us up in the same stage where the Pope is, put us up in front of this crowd that was really there to celebrate their faith and to come alive and reinvigorate through these activities and these talks and mass and the sacraments and all that stuff. So I left that there, coming more to terms with where I was and where I needed to be. And I think I could speak on behalf of the whole crew that each experience that we get to perform is really kind of like a mini retreat for us. Even if we don't fully get to engage or participate, we come out of that like, wow, God was really tugging at my heart on this particular aspect of my faith or what have you, or this particular moral issue that I've been struggling with, or even just some of the conversations that we have, behind the scenes. To me, that's the most important thing. So even though, like we performed in front of hundreds of thousands of people and all that stuff, to me, the most important part was just receiving the testimony from the people around me, number one, and number two, kind of just coming together with these men of God who are all equally broken and in some cases doing worse or better, right? And then just hearing their testimonies and seeing how God is acting in their life. So each performance has been like that for me, not just World Youth Day, but that's my point of view, man. Fellas, C2, Val, John, take it away.
Anybody?
World Youth Day, it was at that point, it was like, I don't know. It was like the comedy came to like the final episode. Like, how the heck did we make it here? And I always tell people, I know I was talking to Val too, man. I was just like, I don't feel like we belong here. Like, and that was the second World Youth Day. That one freaked me out because now we're up on stage with Il Volo, and we're like Googling the people we're backstage with, bajillion followers, all of them. They're like legit, like Grammy nominated. And I'm like, what the heck? We're up here in street clothes, bro. We American rappers. And the Pope's like right there. And I'm like, okay, this is ultimate comedy. God, like I don't feel worthy, man. But and then like
Yeah.
Nico said, at the end of the day, we get so much out of just being around each
Wow.
other that the
Wow.
music's like the icing on the cake. It's comedy, man. It's a beautiful
Yep.
story. So
The crazy thing that a lot of people don't realize is that as American artists, we're actually supposed to have, there's like a chain of command, so to say, right? And we're supposed to get approval from the American College of Bishops, I think I want to say it is,
USC
for
yeah.
for our performances out there at the
Sure.
World Youth Day, right? And since we're not really on their radar, I guess you could say, right? It's just weird how God worked it out, where the organizers themselves reached out to us directly and asked us to be part of it, right? And so, like in the case of
Wow.
Panama, like John said, the other artists were like Grammy award winning, Grammy nominated, and then the reason why we were selected to be on that main stage twice that week, the opening night and the closing night, was because the youth panel there in Panama selected us. They gave them a big list of artists to choose from, and the youth panel was the one that actually selected us. So that's why they reached out to us to be on that main stage.
Wow. That's a testament to you guys' production. Just sticking it out and just coming up with hit record after hit record, and just incredible music videos that are just aesthetic and just absolutely incredible. Who is the Busta Rhymes, the energy on stage? Who's the guy that really gets everyone going? Is it all of you, or is this one person in particular?
Fonzie and John, I think.
I think that's the beauty of having the group, because when like sometimes someone else will be just going, bro. It's like, dang, I gotta step it up, man. Val's spitting in the camera. Val's like, or it could be anybody any given day. Holy Spirit, bro. Holy Spirit come through, pop everybody, and it's like,
yeah, absolutely. No, that's beautiful. Here's a cool question, FoundNation fam. Which song as a FoundNation group to each one of you is your favorite all time? So C2, you got a favorite all time FoundNation song?
Man, I gotta go with Empty Pew, man.
That's a soulful track, man. Soulful track. Nico?
I'm gonna go with Oh Maria, man. That's probably one of the top fan favorites, and I think we all showcase not just our lyrical ability, but just the cohesiveness of the group, and moreover, just kind of our devotion that I feel like has carried us through the worst of times and the best of times, and that's our Marian devotion. That's what makes us ultimately authentic Catholic hip hop, right? Is just that Marian aspect of it. And then of course the Eucharistic aspect of it too, like Salu mentioned here in the comments, the Holy Hour. Val's got a song on that as well. So beautiful stuff. But from FoundNation, Oh Maria for sure. So
yeah, John.
Ooh, that's big, man. Because at some point we kind of handed things over to our Blessed Mother, man, and we knew it. She was just carrying all this. It was like, for whatever reason, we keep doing this. We gave it to her, and she has to still proclaiming her son's name. So yeah, to do a song like that, you're not going to see anything like that anymore. And we know that we poured our heart into it, and that's really from the newer like FoundNation songs. The older stuff that like Let It Go and Christ is Alive, man. That stuff is what drew me into the original FoundNation stuff, and I was like, okay, this is these dudes are pouring out their soul like on these tracks.
So, right. Yeah. Val?
My personal favorite from FoundNation is Before I Joined the Group. It's a song that really, when I listened to it, I was like, man, it's immaculate.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that song.
That's mine. It's like picking your favorite kids. It's hard enough.
Yeah, for real. Now one of my most personal top favorite FoundNation is just I Wonder.
Nice.
Just because of the theme. The theme hits home for me every time. Just you feel unworthy. You feel it's like you mess up again and again, and it almost feels like, oh, this is the last time God's gonna forgive me. You know what I mean? That's why the hook. That's why the hook. So the behind the scenes.
It's my favorite too.
The hook. What ended up becoming the hook, or what is the bridge in the song, was originally the hook. sometimes I wonder, right? And then the second part, I don't know why it is you call me, right? That was written by Nate G, right? Not Nate G, sorry. Nate Gicano, right? And so he was originally on the song, but just something wasn't hitting, something just it felt. So then Carlos had asked me, he's like, well, how about you sing it then? Right. So I ended up I took what he wrote, and I sang it. And then what was originally the hook ended up becoming the bridge.
Right.
And so now we have this inside joke that I stole his hook, and he's gonna keep away his notebook away from me for the rest of his life. And so yeah, shout out to Nate Chicano. Much love, my brother.
G.
Yeah, that song was, it's my favorite one.
There's one that I overlooked. If you don't mind, if I could say one more.
Go ahead, absolutely.
The one, because I love boom bap, man. I love boom bap. I still love it. And so usually when we get together, I try to sneak in like at least one boom bap track in there, right? And I love, like you said, lyricism, like wordplay, right?
Right.
So the song Wordplay that we did, I love that song, man. I can listen to that song on repeat all day long.
My daughter loves that song.
Man, that song is just, and there's not even a hook on it. It's just like a cipher track, It's just
Those are the best.
Bars after bars, yep.
bars
Those are
after
the best.
bars. I love that one, man. Everybody's verse was fire on there.
Yeah.
And I think when we all kind of challenge each other a little bit,
Yeah.
As far as like the lyricism, right? And I know if I bring it, I know Nico's gonna bring it. If Nico brings it, I know Val's gonna bring it. If I know, we all kind of encourage each other to kind of come with that energy, come with that fire,
It's like friendly competition.
That's the best part. I don't know if you guys heard the story of when M and Busta Rhymes did a song together. Originally, it was about 16 bars each. So Busta put his 16 bars, sent it to M. Eminem came back with like 20 bars. And Busta, I'm not being outdone on my own song. So Busta sent it back 22 bars. Eminem came back with 25 bars. And the next thing you know, there's about 30 bars each verse. And they're just going off. And I wonder, like, well, let's take a question from the audience here. Rick Barrett says, does it motivate you to represent Catholicism in a Christian rap space dominated by Protestants? Does it motivate you guys to kind of highlight Catholic rap, since we're kind of like in the corner of the industry?
I'm just gonna tell you, yeah, man. They and here in Tampa, every so often you'll get like a Christian hip hop station that'll start getting a good signal on the radio. It's like, yes, so you'll listen to it, and you'll listen to it for a couple of days and weeks, and then you realize, like, man, not one of these folks are talking about confession, the Eucharist, all the stuff that I need to like. And I'm like, and then right away, I feel Holy Spirit or God telling me, that's why I need you and your buddies to make more songs or find more people like you. So yeah, it's tough, and it's motivating though, because at some point you can only get fed with so much milk. You know what I mean? You need some meat, gentlemen. You need some meat to be strong.
Right. That's why you have a song, John Levi, is it True Presence?
Yeah.
Real presence.
Real presence.
My daughter, we were just looking at stuff. We were talking about something else, but we were talking about trolls, people trolling on YouTube and stuff. And I said, hey, have you ever seen the trolls on my Real Presence? You're onto something when you get real angry trolls. Let's just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. And is that your biggest song to date? That's a
special song, yeah, for sure, man. And that's right. 8, ain't that crazy? 8 years ago, we're over here all aging and stuff. But yeah, and I always tell people, man, that's a Holy Spirit song all day. Yeah. Daniel Prodigal was in town a couple months back or whatever, and I found the BlackBerry phone that I wrote it on. I had a BlackBerry.
Wow.
And I wrote it in adoration, man. So, but
that's incredible.
Yeah, but yeah, the Catholic, it does motivate us to put more Catholic content out there, at least me personally, and I know the same for the group.
It's just so. Was John? Did you say that? Is that your favorite solo song that you ever done?
There's almost no way around it, you know.
Sure, yeah. No, I get it. It's on the Eucharist.
I almost feel like if it happens to me tomorrow or whenever, like my life was probably meant to put at least a song like that out.
Makes sense.
But
Absolutely.
then to have the guys in the group, we put out so many other songs hitting about, and it's like, wow, he put us together to make that song. He put C2 together to make his one song. He put Val together to make that song. But yeah, for me, it would be the real presence. And it's like, whenever I do that song, I always take my hat off and I let people know, hey, if y'all don't hear anything else that I say tonight, or if you don't remember anything, please just know you need to take your behind to mass, or at least investigate. Please investigate the Eucharist.
It's beautiful. Nico, congratulations on your 1 million streams on Spotify with your recent song. Is it FaceTime?
No, man. So speaking of like Protestants, I did get a chance to kind of connect with some of the Protestant producers and artists and stuff like that. And at the beginning, I was kind of like, I really wanted to just be, I'll be honest, it was very ego driven for me. I'm like, yo, y'all are wrong. Like, I want to be, the Catholic artist that like exposes the actual Christian truth, like very in your face. And I think God humbled me real quick just to kind of show my imperfections and all that stuff, because it was definitely ego talking. But lo and behold, man, after years of making music, I've had a chance to connect with some real cool people on the Christian space as well that are just doing huge things, man. This guy named Mpax, he's produced for OG Christian rapper named Ambassador. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's real close with Ambassador and The Truth, Flame, all those guys. So anyways, yeah, we created this song called Limits the Sky in 2019, and it took off. It was really just a motivational, inspirational track, nothing specific about the faith, but it took off on TikTok, and lo and behold, we're 1 million streams deep. You know what I mean? So this year, it's pretty astounding what God can do. And we've had conversations behind closed doors about just the faith and whether it's differences or things in common. So it's kind of cool to peel back the layer, peel back the curtain, and see what actually goes into like making the music, and not just like the end product that you hear, but some of the conversations that are had. Even if you don't think it sounds explicitly this or that, it's like, yo, we're having real life conversations about real stuff. You know what I mean? So
That's
to me, that's most important, man. Yeah.
Want to move on to this topic real quickly. And this is from what I've noticed. I look at what people call praise and worship music, which is really soft rock Christian music. A lot of those folks either stay stuck in what we call the ultra charismatic movement, or they end up leaving the faith, because music does have an impact. From what I've noticed, this is me personally noticing, and I think I talked to S-Mine about this a few months ago, is almost every Catholic rapper, either in the past who's not doing it anymore, still doing it, or looking to do it. A lot of us have stuck in what's called traditional Catholicism. When I say traditional, I mean it in as far as we all accept the dogmas and doctrines of the faith intact. None of us veer off of that. None of us are, we don't get the moral doctrines of the faith and say, no, I don't accept that. All of us accept the moral doctrines and dogmas of the faith. And do you think that there's a connection between the fact that in order for you to be a great lyricist in hip hop, to present that message, you kind of have to learn the faith first? And once you learn the faith, you fall in love with the faith, and then you become such a strong, authentic Catholic, then your lyrics flow through that? Did that happen to you guys?
Yeah. That happened to me. When I came over from doing gangster rap to doing, Christian rap, and I was doing it from the perspective of a fallen away Catholic at the time. I considered myself to be non-denominational Protestant at the time, right? But I realized really, really quick that I didn't really know enough about my faith to write about it consistently and to keep coming with bars and stuff, right? And so, ironically, that search to really kind of be good at my craft, to kind of really kind of fill my mind with what I can write about and turn into the music, right, that I'm putting out, is actually what led me back to my faith. So, in challenge myself to study and fill my mind enough to be able to write those lyrics, it kept pointing me back to Catholicism. Everything I would study would point me back to Catholicism, and eventually to the point where I was like, I can't fight this anymore. Like, this is not, this delayed obedience it's starting to feel like disobedience, right? And so I found my way back to the faith, and then from there it's just like I have this song that I do that I've actually never recorded. It's called Bars for Days, right? And it's like the whole thing that I tell people is like I feel like God has permanently and miraculously healed me of writer's block. It's like I can't stop writing about him. It's like I just all and people will sometimes be like, "Yo, he's like all you write about is your faith, bro." Well, that's all I think about. Like, all I think about is God. All I think about is my faith.
Right. I hear you.
So yeah, I think it does. Help. To really have your mind and your conscious, your heart formed by the faith and by the truth.
That's
Makes sense. Okay.
yeah, and I love it, man. Because C2, he'll always, whether it's in conversation or in his bars, like he'll hit on some deep theological, like truth, like, and then right, then Fonzie gets involved, then we all get involved. Next thing you know, we've got discussions going on behind the scenes, kind of like Nick said, where behind the music, there's all this other stuff that goes on, but to even kind of focus on that question, you're right. It's like, okay, do I feel confident enough in these truths to put a pen to pad about it? Like, am I really trying to, what if I get challenged on it? But I think that's the enemy comes at you with all this stuff. Like don't do it. They're gonna laugh at you. They're gonna laugh. They're gonna make fun of you. But then at the end of the day, if you know that these sacraments and the church and everything is what really grounds you, just talk about it on whatever level you feel comfortable with, and that would be my my invitation to any rappers out there. I'm seeing one or two pop up, kids in their little basement. They're rapping about the Eucharist and the Rosary. I can't think of one of the kids' names right now, but just you'll get there, man. And don't feel like you got to overdo it, and don't feel like you got to underdo it. Just kind of just talk about what it is. You know what I mean? And eventually, over time, you're gonna feel there's like this weird balance, this awesome balance, I should say, between infusing the truth and tradition and theological content into something that's relevant as well. It's going to catch somebody's ear and make them listen to more of it. So
that's the beauty of hip hop. It gives you that outlet. The fact that you got like 16 bars, 3 verses, or in other genres of music, you kind of limit it in a way. It's a little more simplistic. But I will say this: so people always talk about, man, you can't put hip hop and Catholicism, you can't mix those two. And for the people who are saying that, if you took every single rap song FoundNation has made, C26 has made, Nico has made, John has made, Val has made, S Mine has made, I have made, if you put them all together, we pretty much have the catechism covered.
That's so dope, dude.
In some way or another, we have the catechism covered. So you could learn the faith in that in that route. So
how's it going, brother? For Valerio?
Hey Val, can you mute yourself, man?
It's awesome stuff.
Yeah, I got
Val's in the drive-thru.
Nah, I'm getting my lift from my drive. My bad. I'll mute myself right now.
That's for the record. That's normally C2. He'll have you on the phone and he will be in the drive-through every time.
Every time.
Like, hey, hold on a second, man. Hey, let me get 3.
Look at that number.
Every time. It's like, why are you always calling me when you're there, bro?
Enoch, just to go back to that topic though, I think that's what the tagline "Authentic Catholic Hip Hop" comes from. Is
excellent point.
Is for all of us, man. Like we were before we were rapping Catholic hip hop, we were rapping what we were living, right? And so I know I made it a conscious effort before even I was doing Catholic rap. Was like, I just want to be who, like, speak from the heart, be who I am, so on and so forth. And so for me, when I had that kind of St. Paul moment in my life, man, I was kind of like C2. I was hitting the books. I was trying to become the best apologist I knew. Like it was like kind of like the battle rap side of me where I was just like, I want to hit you with the dopest like bars on like apologetics that I can. So anybody that, confronts me about my faith, like I know exactly how to answer your question, your doubt, your rhetoric, whatever it was. And that automatically started to spill into the music that I was making at that time, because I was heavy in the books. And then as time progressed, you have life experience, how you practice out the faith, so on and so forth. So then, the music became for me a little bit more transitional into the application of the faith, and maybe just even touching on subjects that I didn't hear other Catholics speak on from that perspective, whether it was, you know, getting married, having kids, finances, all that sort of stuff that affects us, right? So as a human species and as laymen, right? So
Right.
You need both.
yeah,
You
man.
need
I mean,
both.
I think it's just the authentic Catholic hip hop, really that's really what drives us to rap
That's
like that.
That's an excellent point, and I think that's a good point that we drive that. This is authentic Catholic hip hop because there's no skew. It's dogmatically and doctrinally Catholic in a medium form, which is rap. So we got a question from the audience to Thought and Diverse. What are your thoughts behind the name changes? We'll start with you, S Mine.
I think it's obvious. It's funny though. It's funny though because
It may not be so obvious. Why don't you explain?
around the time everyone was telling me in the group, like, hey, you should change your name, and I was like, I had gotten to a point in my life where I'm like, I don't care what people think of me, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, if people want to, you know, make fun of me because of my name, like, I had the name before it even became a derogatory term, you know what I mean? But it took John Givens, he messaged me, and John Givens was a Christian hip hop artist at the time, great lyricist. Not to be confused with John Gibbs. John Givens is you know, so he hit me up and he was like, hey brother, just, you know, a brother in Christ, I want to tell you, like, you know, you should consider changing your name. And during that week was when I was, you know, I was contemplating and I was discerning, you know, it's like, maybe I should change my name, you know, maybe it is time for a name change. And thinking about it back then, it was needed because I was making a transition in my life, you know. And so at the time, Separate Mind was actually going to be the name of an album I was going to put out. And so I was, you know, just thinking about it, and then, you know, I was like, you know what, let me and so I kind of took into consideration how some of the best and
Uh-oh.
Did he cut off?
Think so.
He's just thinking.
This is my process.
Yeah.
He's having a thought.
He's a deep thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pick up on that, man. So for me, the Diverse name change, I've actually changed names like 4 or 5 times, believe it or not. Before I was a Catholic rapper, I was Diverse still, and then I'd gone by T-Bone for a little bit of time. I'd gone by
Clifford,
my Prime, and I'm like Prime T-Bone. I should be like filet mignon next, or like I don't know, some one of the meat cuts or whatever. But anyways, yeah, I stuck to Diverse for a little bit of time. I wanted to be diverse. I wanted to try to explore different genres in terms of making hip hop, meaning I wanted to pull from different genres and try to experiment with different sounds and just be kind of like out of the box. And then, of course, it kind of just fit when, you know, when I started venturing into Catholic hip hop. So I didn't have anything specifically profoundly spiritual about Diverse, the name. I wasn't tied to that. But you know, around the time that I was getting married, I was like, all right, get married. You know, I'm gonna be mature. I'm gonna try to take on my government name, Nicholas Torres Santana, Nico Santana. Nico is what I've always been known as for my family. So it just made sense for me to make that transition, number one. And number two, there was already a guy named Diverse who had, I think, a little bit more clout than me and had some gangster rap songs that when people looked up Catholic rap, or at least Diverse, you had some explicit music that would come up. And I was just like, I don't want people searching that. So, you know what I mean? So I had to rebrand.
So S-Mine, I'm sorry, but you kind of froze a little bit there. If
you were having a thought, man.
If you want to finish your thought, no pun intended.
You should tell about that New York show. I think that's pretty much official, but that New York was like, I think you were still going by thought at that New York Catholic.
I was, yeah.
I think that time we're like, bro, whatever you do, don't do it. All the kids are saying that's a different meaning.
yeah. It's yeah. So I ended up part of the reason why. Separate Mind came about was, I was going through the transition in my life as I meant. I don't know where I got cut off, but part of it also was considering how some of the producers have had, some of the best producers have two names, right? Jay Dilla, Pete Rock, Ninth Wonder, Dr. Dre, Manny Fresh, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, I could get one with two names. So I just ended up choosing the name that I was going with my album, and then but putting a number in it. The number was always a symbolic thing for me, just the same way in the faith. Everything in the faith has a symbolism, tied to it, and so the thought at the time was 0 because I'm nothing, and he, Christ is everything. And then so S Mind, it's not an I, it's a one, because I want to represent the one, but also because I'm performing for an audience of one. Although he is triune, he is one.
Wow.
That's what I mean? So
super deep.
It is. So S Mind, so it's separate. Is it, what is it called? What's the whole thing?
Separate mind.
So it's also the idea of holiness, to be separated.
Yeah, to separate
awesome.
your mind, to
Beautiful.
consecrate
Right.
your life. You know what I mean?
Right. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, guys. If I can figure this out, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm going to share a screen really quickly, and I want to play one of your songs. I have it ready. So you guys can pick one. I got Oh Maria, MTP, or I Wonder. Which one do y'all want everybody to hear right now?
Shortest one would be Oh Maria.
Yeah, let's run that Oh Maria, man, the classic.
Oh Maria. Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. All right, just give me share a screen.
How's it going? Good.
What's funny? Because now Fonzie's Separate Mind, he's got me thinking. Yeah, I Wonder, man, it's crazy. Because every time we would get those calls for shows or doing something, I'm like, why do you keep calling us for this? like it is, and so that song has like been the theme for all of this, and it's like what the heck, man.
Yeah, because it was also something that we all related to, a theme that we all related. We all feel unworthy. I mean, albeit we are unworthy, but
that song has made me cry before, like a couple of times, man. I'll be perfectly man enough to say it. That song has brought me to tears. Like, what the heck?
Which one are you talking about?
I Wonder, man.
I Wonder is my favorite song that you guys have ever done. Yeah, I Wonder is a beautiful, beautiful track. So here we go. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Yo,
Yeah.
FoundNation, El Padrecito. It's going down. Already.
Oh,
Don't call me come back. Get back like we never left. Ave Maria. Let's go.
Hail Mary, come with me and the brothers crossing borders in the penitentiaries. Blue and the black with a badge and some slacks. It don't matter what you look like. God has you back from the Genesis. Pinpoint the nemesis. Pin to the ground by a Jewish girl in Bethlehem. It's not irrelevant. Be with the Messiah. Reverence the God, man.
That footage is clean too.
9 to 5 and defining rise for retirement. But I am in my iron mind. Finding that define what the lies of men have providence. I call her Mother Mary and she finds me when I'm down in sin.
Oh my, Leah, like an onomatopoeia, joyful noise written. I'm spitting till the day I see her. No king, queen, or Caesar can't compare to a creature selected in perfection to birth the savior and teacher. Mama, we need ya. This world's gone mad. They still killing babies, still abusing the badge, still thinking that one life matters more than the last. Hiding behind these ignorant comments and hashtags. We past that. We look for your visions and apparitions because they show us you've always listened. We know you keep these things close in your heart. And Steve, me, Madonna, cause we don't know where to start.
Oh, Mama Mia, Maria, you carry God in you. Always devoted, immaculate, this the Leah. Anointed senorita with more soul than Adidas. Your mother, the soul healer, the son of the soul leader. The one who's sitting high in his throne like nosebleeders. Only one to ride with me like we in a two-seater. We owe you the utmost, most just won't see you. Even though you're so close to the most, we still reach you. Your will is God's will, that's something we don't teach you. Apparitions at different lands with no visa. Always putting in work and I know that we all need you. Even when they throw stones in the old, we all see ya.
at us, think you're trying to catch an interception. With all of these Hail Marys we keep tossing, what they keep fumbling is that he chose you. Particularly took every out the winning touchdown. Coin toss for my soul. Here it goes. It'll always be the head that'll win the Joe. But I feel Satan would attack with a stunning blitz. That's when you come in for the save. Michael Vick, I pray to serve you as you deserve with all of me. All I am, taking me to the Super Bowl promised land. And I'm out of you that I'm a true command. Even if these haters don't care to understand.
You're the spouse of the spirit, the daughter of the father, the mother of the son. You do the highest honor, mother of the king. That makes you queen of heaven, perpetual virgin, immaculate conception. Assumed into heaven at the moment of your death. The Bible says that all generations call you blessed. And blessed is the fruit of thy womb. So when we conquer death for 3 days in the tomb. Pray for us now and at the hour of our death. So we can see the pearly gates when we lay to rest. Blessed Mother Mary, let me proclaim my love for you, just like your only son Jesus Christ wants me to.
María, María, Virgo prudentísima, ora pro nobis, Mater clementísima, en nomine Patri et Filii Spiritu Sancti, Tonda, toca es María. Long before your breath, yeah, you was on the guest list. Eve couldn't touch this, Father gonna wreck this. We was on a death list, you arrest the rest of this. Joe, Kim, and Ann, we're blessed for the rest of it. Abortion on demand, we talk about the man. BLM, Planned Parenthood got a plan. Don't worry about the clan, don't worry about the dam. Go to your mama, it's all about the fam.
Man, that is a banger and a half, man.
You know what's crazy is that was kind of the last song we did for that project. We just didn't feel like it was complete.
I was gonna say you got to play that last 5 seconds right there, last little 3 seconds.
Play the rest. You're saying?
Yeah. Oh, just 5 seconds. Oh yeah.
All right, you got it, bud.
Bring the color in.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, go ahead, John. I didn't mean to cut you off, John.
I was just saying that all that stuff just came together so well, man. Like you were saying with the visuals, and when we found that mural down in Chicago, it's actually, gosh, what is the name of that neighborhood? I can't think of it. I can't think of it right now, but it's around the corner from the first these Cristo Rey high schools that are about 30 of the schools in the country. And I worked at the one in Tampa for a while, but those neighborhoods, man, and then they've got like these family centers, but that Guadalupano Family Center, beautiful mural right there. And was that Arise? Who shot this video again?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
And you get a good cameraman, and it's on and popping, man. And
it's on and popping. Yeah. So I want to say this. So for those of you, again, I want to go back to my original. Let's take some of these things you guys said. Nico talked about, the people in the penitentiary. That is a corporal works of mercy. That is Catholic moral Catholic teaching. Val said, John was talking about, it was still murdering babies in the womb, right? That is moral Catholic teaching. Val Morale talking about you had God within you, right? Talking about Our Lady. That is Mary, Mother of God, and the hypostatic union, all in one word, in one bar. Y'all are teaching the catechism through these bars, and this one I want people to understand is the why this is such an important thing. If you guys don't mind, can I play I Wonder? Is that you guys have time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I want to.
I'm gonna cut out because I came to St. Anne's. My boy's about to give his testimony, but
okay.
It was a pleasure seeing y'all and being with you, gentlemen. You guys have a good night, man.
You too, brother.
Love you, Val. Love you, Val.
I'm around.
One love.
Val Morale.
Appreciate you coming by, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Man, Val's such a good dude. I remember hanging out with him in San Diego.
Yeah. Wow.
Let me see if I can transition. How do I transition over? I'm still learning all this stuff, guys. Sorry.
Sure. I was going to mention it, like, while you do all that, and I will say, right, Father Maceo, El Padrecito,
right?
You were asking, like, kind of what he brings to all of it. The only one word did come to mind, but I know we're legit without him. But like C2 said, in certain circles, you bring a priest who believes in what you're doing on board, and it really legitimizes everything for certain crowds. Right. What we're doing is legit no matter what. What he's doing is legit no matter what. You add it all together, and it really does become something extremely special But what I was going to say earlier is that when we do start having these deep theological discussions, guess what? We got a priest riding with us in the car. We could bounce the stuff off of them.
Right.
So next thing you know, we're getting true crazy catechesis, and then we come back from these recording sessions and these things like feeling really like amped up, powered up. So they are like true retreats.
So, did any of you guys pull them to the side for confessions, or were you guys like, we're not doing this?
Oh yeah.
Is that right? Wow.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I would.
Oh, Polly? Yeah, man. Well, you got to go. I've done it only once, maybe once or twice, but sparingly, right?
Same.
Yeah.
I saved that stuff for the priests across town here in town.
Yeah, exactly. No, just because a lot of people like I just say, no, I won't go to the priest I know, but that shows a lot of spiritual maturity too.
Yeah, I had.
Go ahead.
A lot of us go before we get on the plane to meet with Polly, so we're good by the time we see him.
Makes sense.
It's almost a prerequisite, man. Like, yeah, anytime we get together, we kind of have that unspoken rule where we're like, we want to be in a state of grace. We want to maintain ourselves in a state of grace. Doesn't always happen with C2's jokes, you know, but it is what it is.
I was literally about to say that. Yeah, I always try my best to go to confession prior to whatever we're doing, you know, whether it be, you know, traveling to a different place to go to a studio or whatever. Just trying to be, you know, in a good space myself, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what I was trying to do. I had to confess the other day to Father Maceo that I stole John's lyrics, you know what I'm saying?
Bro, she's tripping, man.
Here's a track called I Wonder. This is my favorite track from you guys. So I hope you will enjoy it. But and that Oh Maria was just a banger.
Sometimes I wonder why the Lord keeps on calling. I keep trying to run away, yet the Lord kept on calling. Sometimes I wonder why the Lord keeps on calling, and the Lord keeps on calling. And I wonder why it is He chose me, and how it is, despite my faults, you still love me. Through the dark, I feel your presence guiding me, giving me life, and I wonder why.
Lately, I've been on that low road. Be wanting that high and I don't smoke. Try to swallow my pride so I don't choke. But that hot rope's like a sore throat. Hard to swallow when I go postal. I'm so prideful and so boastful. Try to hide the true me, but it show though. That's when I blue sea like a coastal. I get lost like I ain't local. Even though I found a nation with close hope, my destination feels so rogue. And I'm so far, yet so close. I went so hard and then so. I wonder why I just won't grow. I need to know if there's still hope. Yeah, sometimes I wonder though. Sometimes I sit back and wonder at all of His wonders, finding me wander. Honestly, ask me to tell you what's yonder. I hope it ain't hell, cause it's heaven I'm fond of. I really like the nice stuff. Contrary, seek to be righteous. Mother Mary, help me to Christ's love. Pure mercy, I speak from the right judge.
I wonder why it is You chose me, and how it is, despite my faults, You still love me. Through the dark, I feel your presence guiding me, giving me life, and I wonder why. I never thought I'd make it. I always believed I'd be stuck in a rut. Something kept me from settling down. Holy Ghost up in my gut. His mercy is great. Yeah, man, it's appalling. Even when I'm feeling numb, I always go back at the falling. Even if I'm crawling. It's been a while, but I'm back now. Moved from Cali down to H-Town with a wonderful wife, a beautiful daughter. Never thought I'd get all I prayed for. Wow. That's when I saw it was bona fide. Could not believe what He did up inside. After years of putting on His lover side, finding out the trust is what it takes.
Hey, how could you use a broken man like this? Do what you will, my king, I insist. Too many times I betrayed with a kiss, but you never crossed me off that list. What type of love is this? I'm a VIP in your eyes, always. So every moment is a prayer, all day, all week, all year, every decade. Keep me close forever, I pray.
I wonder why it is You chose me, and how it is, despite my faults, you still love me. Through the dark, I feel your presence guiding me, giving me life, and I wonder why.
Lord, I say you more often than not. Then lie to myself that it's all gonna stop, but it's probably not. So it's probably best I don't get any props. I've been searching for so long, been singing that same song. Oh, where did I go wrong? I thought I was so strong, but the spirit gets credit for bringing me back home. Due to my past, I thought I was unfit, just serving this mission. That was a lie from the devil. God called me, so he made the provision. Position me right, show me the light. Gave me the strength for the fight. He is the one that is giving me sight, so it's only right that I give him my life.
Sometimes I wonder why the Lord keeps on calling. I keep trying to run away, yet the Lord kept on calling. Sometimes I wonder why the Lord keeps on calling, and the Lord keeps on calling, and I wonder why. I wonder why it is you chose me, and how it is, despite my faults, you still love me. Through the dark, I feel your presence guiding me, giving me life, and I wonder why.
Man, that is a track to remember.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate that, man.
Man, I love that song. Yeah, you guys, man, keep it up. So, last question for me for you guys before we end this. What's next for FoundNation? What y'all got working on? What people looking forward to?
Yeah, we flew out to Dallas a couple months back in July. Thanks to a lot of you guys. Actually, we have a little Patreon going on right now, patreon.com/FoundNation. And for months, people have been, pouring money into us, seeding, what do you call it? Planting that seed. And
Amazing.
we were able to use some of that capital to fly ourselves over to Dallas, book some studio time, right? And knock out some tracks. So I think we got about 4.5 songs done. We still have quite a bit to go to make it a full project. But
Cool.
with God's grace and our Blessed Mother's intercession, we'll get it done. So no time frame on when it's coming out, because of that. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's crazy because just it always happens though. So at some point it's like, all right, so this was the time God selected, but it always ends up coming
Facts.
together.
Facts.
So I mean, the fact that we all even got on this stream at some point is like it's kind of like a testament to it all. But man, that I wonder, it just reminded me. That's like the airport soundtrack. That's normally what I've got playing because I'm just still. It's just like, where am I going? Like, where am I flying now to do what? To go jump on a stage and rap about Christ, like insane, and like why me? Like what? I don't get it. Like so
that's one of the things that I learned early on as an artist, and it wasn't just as an artist, but also as I mentioned to you, I was involved in the charismatic renewal for almost a decade, and I was already going around the diocese at the time, preaching, getting invited to around the diocese to adult groups, to young adult groups, to youth groups, and whatnot. And one of the things that they taught us in formation was how, first and foremost, the preaching is to ourselves, right? The catechesis is first to ourselves, and so in a lot of these songs that we write or that I've written over the years, first and foremost, it's always, what do I need to tell myself, right? It's always been something that on a level for me, and this is one of the beautiful things that I love about our group, is that we all bring something different, right? None of us have the same style. None of us have the same state of mind. None of us have, even the same tastes per se. And yet, we all bring something completely different that just complements so well, right? And so I Wonder was a huge factor to where I listened to it, just like John is saying. You know, we listen to it today, and it just hits me. You know, it gives me compunction. It reminds me. You know, it's like, you know, why is it that you call me? And then you get back into that, you know, that conversation with God. You know, it's like, well, thank you for bringing me for calling me all these years. You know, thank you for giving me the grace to even give you my own fiat to you know, to allow your work to in some way work through me. You know what I mean? For your grace to work through me, to reach others, to plant seeds, to heal, to bring souls alive. You know what I mean? Like, and that's one of the things too, we have to consider. You know, when people talk about bringing the dead to life, it doesn't necessarily mean a physical way. You know, someone who literally died, right? The doctor is like, call it. You know, he died at 2:38 p.m. And then, you know, we come and it's like, oh, you know, we pray and he comes back to life. No, we're talking about spiritually dead people. You know, over the years, it literally, there is not one single compliment or testimony that people write to us that it always feels like it's the first time. You know, it just refreshes our motive, our drive,
Amazing.
you know, our goal to continue going. You know, and so as long as God calls, as long as the Blessed Mother desires it, you know, we're gonna be here answering that call. You know what I mean? So yeah.
C2, tell them about the tacos and hip hop, man. It kind of
Oh, wow.
kind of like
Well, yeah. Well, hip hop and tacos, it's kind of it's a tour, so to say. I guess you could say it's like a tour. It's originally the brainchild of me and Nate G. Right? We had a project out a while back called Los Cristeros, and it was like anybody who knows about Los Cristeros, that album, all of the beats were kind of like Latin fusion type beats, like mariachi horns and Spanish guitars and all that type of stuff, right? We were doing some Spanglish lyrics and stuff. So it was fun. And so when we were doing this kind of promotional tour at the time, I want to say it was like 8 states that we went to promote the album. We were like, man, how can we kind of, you know, make this a better event? How can we make this more fun? How can we make this? And so we were like, let's start, you know, providing tacos at all the events, right? Make, you know, really bring the culture out. And so we started doing the tacos thing at our events, right? And it went over so well that, you know, well, Father Maceo and I kind of, you know, discussed it and said, you know, let's kind of really incorporate that into the actual event and like really make that part of the promotion, make that part of the. And so we did that, and we started doing that, like the Hip Hop and Tacos concerts or events in Hollywood. No, it was downtown LA, downtown Los Angeles was the first one we did. Fonzie was there, Val was there. And then we've done a number of them throughout the U.S. since that time.
You just had one, right? Recently you had one, yeah.
Most recently in Long Beach a couple weeks back, right?
Amazing.
And so that's been a fun thing. And for me, I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day, right? So I feel like God has blessed me abundantly, right, with opportunities and platforms. Even though sometimes I still nag about not getting the same, you know, platforms that some other artists are given. I'm like, well, no. The reality is I've been pretty blessed, right?
Yeah.
And so like I always tell people, I'm not blessed by God simply for my sake, you know, or not only for my sake, but to also be a blessing to those around me, right?
Amazing.
And so part of that, my idea behind the Hip Hop and Tacos concerts was to provide a platform for other urban Catholic artists who aren't being given those opportunities in other places, who aren't being, you know, invited to the NCYCs or aren't being invited to the diocesan youth days or, you know, whatever the case is, right? To give them a place to Steubenvilles and to the Life Teams and all those other places, right? It's like, you know, I can only complain about this for so long if I'm not trying to, you know, provide a solution, right? So my solution is let's create the platform and let's spread the love and share the love. So we brought in artists.
I saw that comment from Chris. Yeah, I mentioned that to Father Maceo as well. Enoch, we gotta get you out to one of them, man, for sure. Like tear that thing down. bro.
I would love to. Absolutely.
But see, too,
Yeah.
you're right. Like once I saw what was going on with tacos and hip hop, or hip hop and tacos. What is it? Hip hop and tacos.
Hip-hop tacos, yeah, hip-hop
But
tacos.
they done one in Tampa, and then there was one that was going to be in Miami. But long story short, the fact that other guys get to get on stage, just wreck it, and if they have collab tracks with any of us now, all this internet stuff is coming to fruition in real life, real time, and it's like, ooh, look what God is doing. This is crazy. So shout out to all of the folks who have listened, who have eventually started to rap and eventually started to collab, and to all the folks who have been popping up the little comments here.
Enoch had a post on Facebook the other day, and somebody asked the question, do we need Catholic hip hop, right? Do you remember that post, Enoch?
Yeah, I think it was the Red Top Report through Church Militant did that. Yeah, they did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so part of my response to that was like, depends on who is we. Because if you're talking about Catholic hip hop artists, I would argue that yes, we do need it because that's the talent that God has given us, and we need to be good stewards of that talent as part of our own sanctification.
Point. Great point.
You know, so that's that was kind of the whole idea behind that whole Catholic hip hop.
Excellent point. No, that's such a great idea, and I like that tour idea because you can take that anywhere. Yeah. And a lot of it's outdoors, right? Is it more outdoors?
No, it's mostly been indoors.
Indoors,
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, in fact, right now we're in discussions with a few different places about bringing it to some like juvenile facilities, like youth prison type places.
Man, wow.
Yeah.
We got to go to Kentucky though, get that bourbon popping. We can call it sipping and rapping. You know what I mean?
Sipping and rapping. I like it. Sipping and rapping.
We'll have to do the slow raps though, you know. So
yeah, country rap.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. You guys are such, man. I'm like your biggest fan. Big time, man.
I think the feelings are mutual, man. Because like when we throttle down and we see other people carrying the torch and going as hard as you go, man, it's like praise God. Like so all the gaps are being filled in now with things like hip hop and tacos or dope album releases, man. Like so
yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
What's iron sharpens iron. We got to keep it going, y'all.
Absolutely, man. If there's anybody out there that's like, you got some rap skills and you want to refine, and we need the younger generation to kind of come, because you have that in the apologetics area. I just heard Patrick Madrid he's retired from speaking in public now, so he's kind of handing the torch. Scott Hahn, he's getting older. Coffin, those guys getting older, but you got some younger guys that are coming in, taking over the apologetics area. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting old. I'm getting older, especially after that long break that coming out with the first album, then another album coming out this month. I know you guys are pushing this new project. We need some younger folks to come in and kind of carry that torch and take us on to take Catholic hip hop bigger than we could ever take it.
Yeah, shout out to some young guys too, man. Yeah. Shout out to Prodigal and Colt Kadesh and Cody Free,
Jay Sano,
and Danny Ruiz and Half Holy Half Hood. Some of these new younger guys, man, are on fire, man.
Yeah, the fact that we can rattle off that many names now is crazy to me. It brings so much joy to my heart, because when we all would get together early on, it was like, who else is there?
Yeah. Anyway, Catholic hip hop. Google it. That was everybody's story here. I Googled Catholic hip hop, but so I don't even know any of these guys. If you guys could send some of their tracks on, I'd love to hear these new artists. And because I would love to give them, whichever capacity I can. I don't have as much connections, but I'd love to give them a platform. I just want to put as many people out there as possible. Just to continue on, because Catholic hip hop, man, we have the talent, we have the production, we have the great mindset. You guys are a living testament to that. Y'all just heard 2 tracks that can rival any artist out there, in my opinion, any artist. So
I appreciate that, man.
Super happy about that. Somebody said Rob Reyes. Rob still doing it?
Oh yeah, Rob's still doing it. Rob was at our Hip Hop and Tacos concert.
I remember Rob when he was with Esquadron. You remember Esquadron?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, man.
Yeah, Rob is legit. Rob is dope.
Great guy. Yeah.
Rob,
he's been in the game for a while.
Yeah, because now there's also like primarily just like Spanish Catholic rap. Like that's another whole like.
Oh yeah.
The song you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Spain.
Dub. That
Fresh
was me and
Sanchez
Rob
out
with
in
Nico on
Spain.
the- Yeah.
Yeah, is that right? Oh man, that's incredible. There was a couple other people on Esquadron that kind of went solo. Esquadron kind of broke up. I forgot his name. JR. Yeah, is he still doing this thing?
JR.
Yeah, JR's still around. JG.
He was more reggaeton, wasn't he? In a way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He dabbles, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Jay
that's
Julian.
awesome.
Yeah, Jay
Julian,
Julian.
yeah. Jay Julian was
I
more.
love hearing that, man. So man, S Mind, you got more artists to produce for now.
Yeah.
All the young
Yeah,
artists coming up.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I get a chance, you know what I mean. It hasn't been public, but I've been working with Half Holy, Half Hood, Heriberto. Shout out to my boy. You know, with Cole, with Prodigal. You know, just trying to make sure that all of these artists have somebody, you know, because to me, it's never been about the money. You know, it's always just making sure, hey, you know, you need a beat. Like, I got beats. You know, I've been producing for 14, 15 years. You know, I got beats. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's a lot of people ask, why isn't your stuff online to sell? It's like, well, because I'm more of a made to order. You know, I'm of the generation where I produce music. You know, I produce beats.
Right.
I don't make beats. I don't sit on there and just like, you know, use loops and these loops sound good together and just call it a day. You know, I could do that all
artists,
day.
right?
No, yeah,
you customize it for the artist, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like, you know, yeah, it's made to order. You know,
Wow.
And then I'll work together with the artists. You know, it's like, oh, can you change this? Can you drop the beat here? Can you add this? Everything and anything. You know what I mean? And so, because like just like you mentioned early on in our talk, you know, in the same way, obviously, hip hop and the liturgy will never be on the same level.
No,
you know,
doesn't belong
liturgy, yeah, it doesn't. It will never belong there. We've never pushed that. We've never believed that. Other artists have, unfortunately, but you know that's their opinion. You know, as the Duke says, everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion. But the church in her liturgy and in the faith has always brought it to excellence, to our Lord. The excellence always has to come first and foremost in everything and anything that we do. And in the same way, God has given us this gift of, you know, of rhyme, this gift of poetry, this gift of, you know, being able to manipulate music in a way that, you know, it attracts souls, you know. And so we have to bring the most excellence that we can. And if we haven't acquired it yet, then we have the duty to do so, right? To grow in our craft, to learn to rhyme better, to learn to structurize our bars better, right? And it always just in the same way in the faith. You know, if we want to become better Catholics, then yes, it requires our excellence. It requires our effort to bring the excellence in our faith. And so, you know, and that's what I always I've always strived, you know, to bring excellence in my beats, in my, you know, in our rhymes. And so, you know, it just, I can't do mediocre, especially when it comes to, you know, to music, you know, especially when it comes to beats and stuff like that. I can't give anything that's haphazardly, you know, it has to be, you know, in excellence, you know.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I get messages, but like, oh, I love the song, I love the tradition, I love the album, and those are great messages. But the ones, man, that really get me the most are the ones where someone will, you know, message me. And you guys probably been getting this for years. Is you know, I get this message from someone and they'll say, "Hey, I just heard your new song, Hope in You, and I finally decided to take my faith seriously after I heard that song." And I was man, now these are the ones I'm looking for, man. I want these kind of messages. Yeah.
That's what I was saying early on. You know, we get these messages and it always feels like it's the first time we're getting them. You know, it just relights that fire. It refreshes our soul. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times we've gotten messages where people are like, It's because of your music that I joined the seminary. It's because of your music that I
Wow.
Oh
joined
yeah.
the
Yeah.
convent. It's because of your
Yeah.
music that I didn't leave the seminary and I became a priest. You
Yeah.
know?
At one
And it's
point, I
like,
was like, we need a mixtape just called Seminary Music. Let's just strengthen those guys, right? Let's
Yeah.
just build up a whole like if they do this all the way through seminary, like God knows we serve the purpose.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
there
know,
was
and
recently
so
a person that sent us a message
Wow.
that said that they were suicidal until they heard our music, and they are listening to our music prevented them from committing suicide.
Glory to
That
God,
was
man.
that was
What an
crazy.
incredible
Yeah,
testimony.
yeah.
Coach, what was that one show? Or you get the parents after you do the talk or whatever. It's like, can you talk to my son, please?
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time. It happens
all the
almost at
time.
every show. Yeah, almost at every show. Yeah, you know what's the other thing too? We mentioned earlier about working with a Protestant artist, and I get invited to do a lot of events with Protestant churches, right? And it always it never ceases to amaze me, right? How many of the people that are there are like one foot in the Catholic Church and one foot in the Protestant churches. So like they might even still consider themselves to be Catholic. They're just not going to Catholic mass or anything like that, right? And it always ends up in a really long, deep conversation with people like that. And so it's like, man, that's really, really cool that God's providing the opportunity to have those type of conversations and stuff with people. So that's really cool. And another thing that I wanted to touch on real quick, I don't know how much time we got, but I wanted to kind of point out too that, like our website is foundnationfamily.com, right? But the whole idea behind that family, sometimes people think, it just sounded cool or whatever, right? But it's like, no, we're like really are like family, man. Like we've seen each other grow. We all went to Nico's wedding, we were all there for like 9 out of 10 John's children's births. You know what I mean? Like, we're godparents to each other's children. They were there with me when my dad passed. We were there together when John's dad passed. It's just we've all become like a family, man. So it's like it really is a family, man. And I think that's part of what keeps this thing going is just that familiar element, right? It's just we truly are family. Like I truly love these dudes like they're my real brothers, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are the things that, like I pulled up the Church Militant article. This is the side that people like Church Militant do not see. All they want to see is, we're just trying to push, this hip hop into people's face, but they don't see that there's a whole deeper meaning and reason and goal behind that.
Right.
I mean, the
And
hip hop.
impact.
Exactly. The hip hop is it's just scratching the surface. You know what I mean? It's to get that foot in the door with those souls who don't even want anything to do with the church, but yet they'll listen to the music, they'll hear the beat, they'll hear the lyrics or whatever, and they'll be like, you know what? Let me reach out to these cats. Let me reach out to these people over here. You know what? They said something that I want to go ask a priest about, or or whatever, you know what I mean? And they end up coming back to the faith. You know what I mean?
And on our music, like the comments, a lot of people say what's going on in their life or whatever. But before I met FoundNation, all that other stuff, it was this scriptures, James 5:20 says, remember this, whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if I can get one person just be like to get back to church and to see how many, and we've done that collectively. I know individually they've all done it. So it's like, oh man, God's more, oh my Lord. So it's like, and that stuff, that's MP3s. It's there forever.
Right.
Long after we're gone, y'all, this stuff is there. It's there.
Yeah.
I think the other aspect of it too, kind of going back to the brotherhoods part, is there's and Enoch, you kind of touched on this too. Is there something about hip hop that lets men be men and be masculine? And unfortunately, through a lot of the programs that I've come up with in the church, I just felt like this doesn't jive with me. You know what I mean? Like I just felt like it was very effeminate. It was run mostly with like, and this is no knock on these people, but like female youth ministers, so on and so forth. And I just didn't vibe with it, Right. When I come together with these brothers, I feel like a brother. I feel like we're running the race as soldiers in Christ, brothers in Christ, as the church militant, right? and we also push each other, and we also joke around to, like, you know, kind of just laugh at each other and make sure that our egos don't get too big. So it's all in that as well, in that aspect.
Wow.
And I think that's what a lot of men are missing, unfortunately, in the church. And that's why when we come to these concerts and we perform, we get a lot of young men who are just like they couldn't find their voice in the church, and it's reflected in some of our music.
Well, you heard it, folks. I'm telling you, FoundNation has put more men in the seminary than some of these bishops have. I'll tell you that. So, but no, going back to Esmine, I think what you said is absolutely true, brother. Because I mean, when Christ was talking to the lady at the well, the Samaritan woman with like 6 husbands, right? You know, Christ, you know, he was speaking to her, you know, she was coming up there, you know, at the hottest time of the day because she didn't want to be seen because she was so ashamed of her life. And you know, but you know, when Christ converted her, he met her where she was at the moment where she was at. When Christ converted her, she became a martyr later on. Her name is Saint Fornita. That's her name. She became a martyr. So she's in heaven because Christ met her at a time where she was so ashamed. And I love the fact that you said that. It's like, you know, there's some people who love hip hop or love that type of music, but they're getting filth in content. And we're coming in here and saying, here's the same medium, same production, but here's the gospel message. And I get a lot of guys would tell me, hey, I listen to music at the gym more than any time. And that to me is great. It's like you're lifting weight. That's what hip hop is supposed to do, because it's a driving, a rhythmic type of medium of music. And now it's like, because our music is so catchy, your music is so catchy. Now the subconscious starts to pick up on the message, just like how the secular world tries to get younger folks. It's all in the subconscious. And I think we're just kind of pushing back in a certain way. What a beautiful testimony that you guys put forth, man. I love it.
Yeah,
it's crazy because like, you've ever seen like and I've discussed this before too, but have you ever seen like a street preacher standing on a street corner and they're like on a bullhorn and they're screaming in people's faces, and people are kind of put off by that, but we're in essence kind of doing the same thing. We're on a stage with a microphone leaning into people's faces, but people love it though. It's a totally different response, right?
That's a great point.
It is crazy that God has given us that, you know, because hip hop is supposed to be in your face. It's supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be kind of outspoken, kind of, you know.
Yeah, it's conviction and passion, man. Just that conviction and passion. I agree. See, too, you've always said that too, man. And this is true. Hip hop's a perfect medium to do that with.
And you mix it with the gospel, which is very offensive at the same time.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Listen, so this is what I told Rebels. Shout out to Rebels MC. That's what I said, you know, like the catacomb music, right? Because there's underground music already. We named a lot of dope lyricists and MCs who never got the shine because they didn't have labels. They were dope underground artists. But then we call this double or triple underground because Christian hip hop is like double underground. And then Catholic hip hop's triple underground, bro.
We're in the catacombs.
Yeah, bro. We're like, ain't nobody trying. It's super offensive. Like, no one's trying to hear the truth like that. Yeah. Shout out to Fat Mass again, because I remember on their site it said Aftermath Records. Back to what Fonzie said. Liturgy separated from the music. It's the party you have after the spiritual holy. Shout out to they should bring back Aftermath Records and sign everybody.
Let's go.
Do it. Aftermath Records. That is so dope, man.
I know.
Dust needs to start DJing again. I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna say it now. Dust, I need you back on them turntables, man.
Yeah.
Is that Dustin Quick they talking about?
Dust Sieber.
Dust Sieber. Yeah.
Oh, Dust Sieber. My bad.
Dustin Sieber, not to be confused with Justin Bieber.
Justin B.
Go ahead and confuse him.
Justice Bieber. All right, fellas. I appreciate you all coming on. Man, we did 2 hours. I love it. I thought it was gonna be 1 hour. The fact we did 2 hours is even better. Y'all got a chance to hear the story. Got a chance to listen to some of their music. Please check them out. Please support them. Blast Catholic hip hop in every possible platform you can.
Yeah, there's Fat Mouse has a 24/7 radio. Just visit Catholic.hiphop. Just put that in the browser.
Oh,
on
okay.
your phone, on your desktop, you know, and it's playing 24/7 Catholic hip hop.
Yep. And
If
Catholic
if
artists
you
have
haven't sent him
music,
your music,
yeah, you sending your music too, it'll get in the rotation. So
Okay, there you go. Yeah, if y'all got music that y'all want on there, I mean, most of the listeners are gonna be Catholic listeners, and then one last thing, if you can get 5 of your friends, if you can send FoundNation music to 5 of your friends, and ask those 5 friends to send to 5 of their friends, and ask those 5 friends to send to 5 of their friends, and then maybe send it to folks that are got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out of their faith, and then watch the Lord work through their music. Now you've multiplied 5 people to 500 people just in personal relationships, because that's how the gospel should work. You're supposed, you know, because we all send each other articles, like, you know, my friends and I, articles of apologetics. Why not send them Spotify music of John or C2 or Nico and S-Man, FoundNation and Val? That way we can get the music going. So that's my spiel.
just send it and simply say, "Hey, work out to this." Boom.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's that's the Trojan horse.
Yeah. Shout out to Fatty to Natty bodybuilder. This dude's always tagging our music, and he works out to. He competes, but he only plays Catholic hip hop when he's competing. So pretty dope.
Dude. Yeah, it's just a matter of time before it starts to get in everyone's ear. God bless y'all. We'll be. Y'all want to do this again sometime?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We love it, man.
be an honor, man. Be an honor.
Album release time, even if for yours, and we can ask you all the questions, Enoch. Yeah.
Appreciate it, but So my second album comes out December 27th. It's called Deus Volt.
Nice.
Deus Volt. This one's got 16 tracks. 16
John
tracks.
had your last album on repeat for at least a good 6 months.
We were all jamming it, man.
Bludgeoning people with this album. I was like, listen to this.
No, I was getting people at my parish. Hey, have you heard of this guy? It's like, yeah, me and him go way back. What?
Yeah.
I appreciate that, guys. Now, John Levi is on the next album. Don't forget.
Yeah.
We got a collaboration song. Me and John is called Fatherhood.
Let's go.
Because he's got about 1,700 kids, and I got about 4. So we're.
But you know what? 4 to this day and age is like 1,700.
It is.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Even 3. Even 3. People look at
I was gonna say I get sideways looks with the 3.
Oh yeah, these are all yours. It's like there's only 3 of them. Why you know?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that was a grocery shopping. He got 7 kids. There's one old lady coming through. She goes, "Don't y'all own a TV?" And then my friend punches back. Hey, you ain't never heard of commercials?
I like that one.
Anyways, God bless you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
Y'all want to end with a memorare?
Yeah, go ahead. You want to start us?
Sure. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession, was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, we fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgin, our Mother. To thee do we come, before thee we stand. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not our petitions, but in the clemency of thy heart, hear and answer us. Amen. Our Lady of Sorrows, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
All right. We'll leave y'all. We're going to talk in the green screen on the back. God bless you guys.
All right.
God bless.
Take care.